ITC통역대학에요?
반갑습니다. 시작하기 전에 부탁의 공지 드립니다.
Hello everyone. Before we begin, I'd like to announce this.
스마트폰을 이용하여 학생 부모님들께서는 줌으로도 들어와 주시면 감사하겠습니다.
I appreciate it if you could zoom in.
오늘 공개 수업은 유튜브 라이브 채널로 생방송 중입니다.
Today our class is live on YouTube live channel.
구독과 좋아요 부탁드립니다.
Please subscribe and like.
구독과 좋아요 누르셨나요?
Did you press subscribe and like?
감사합니다.
Thank you.
1분 후에
I will
시작하겠습니다.
start in a minute.
야, 여기 오세요.
반갑습니다. 오늘은 매우 특별한 연합 공개 수업입니다.
Hello, today we have a special open class.
저는 오늘 사회를 맡게 된 부산지점 교사 김주은입니다.
I am today MC Kim Jun, teacher at the Busan branch.
오늘 공개 수업은 해외에 계신 분들이 참여하는 만큼 한국어, 영어, 통역으로 진행되오니 양해 부탁드립니다.
Today open class was attended by people from overseas participating, so I will interpreting in Korean and English. Please understand.
ITC영어는 ITC통역대학과 ITC통역대학이 있습니다.
ITC English has two systems, Interpretation Training School and Interpretation Training College.
약 2년 정도 ITC통역스쿨 12단계 과정을 마치면 ITC통역대학에 입학하게 됩니다. 오늘 공개 수업에 참여한 학생들은 모두 ITC통역대학 학생들입니다.
Whether the ITC Interpretation Training College after completing 12 steps of the Interpretation Training School, all the students who take part in the open class are ones from the Interpretation Training College.
공개 수업을 시작하기 전에 학생들을 지도하는 김민지 지점장님께서 ITC통역대학에 대해 짧게 소개해 주시겠습니다.
Before starting the open class, branch manager Kim Min-ji, who teaches students will briefly introduce ITC College. we are really the skill of our children during these days today.
오늘 특별히 통역대학 연합 공개수업으로 이 무대를 준비하였습니다.
Today I especially prepared the stage for join open class with ITC college student.
저희 통역대학은 2년 4학기 제로 운영이 되고 있고요. 배우는 과목은 청취, 독해, 통역, 그리고 발표입니다.
The course of ITC college is 2 years and first semester we run listening, reading, interpretation and presentation during this period.
2년 과정을 마치고 나면 졸업 논문, 통역 자격 시험, 그리고 졸업 발표를 거쳐 최종적으로 졸업장을 받게 됩니다.
After completing 2 years course, student will have paper on interpreter qualification exam and graduation presentation. Finally, receive one.
네, 졸업자들 대부분은 미국, 호주, 영국 등 영어권에 있는 해외 명문대에 입학합니다.
Some students go to the famous university in the United States, Australia, and the United Kingdom. 이승재, 이승유.
네, 이승유, 이승재 학생입니다. 박수 부탁드립니다.
우리는 통역대학에 입학하여 가장 먼저 최저의 훈련을 지금부터 최저를 보여드리겠습니다.
Since we are in the interpretation training college, we do shadowing. I will show you what shadowing training is.
Article 1. Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve. Article 1. Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
It's Christmas Eve.
It's Christmas
This
Eve.
morning, my mother bought lots of things for Christmas. She is now getting ready for Christmas. My house has lots of lights on the roof. The lights are many colors. Inside, we listen to Christmas carol. My sister and I hang stockings on the fireplace. My mother strings popcorn. We put the popcorn string on the Christmas tree. We put Christmas lights and tinsel on the tree. I put a large star on top of the tree. We get ready for Santa Claus. We leave milk and cookies for Santa. We go to sleep. My sister and I wake up early. We run downstairs. There are a lot of presents under the tree. We open our stockings. We find a small note in each stocking. We open our presents. We believe that Santa leaves them for us. Who do you believe is Santa Claus?
네, 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 두 번째 달부터 우리 학생들은 쉐도잉 동시 통역을 훈련을 하고 있습니다. 지금부터는 쉐도잉 동시 통역을 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
Lesson 2. The Last Leaf. In the 1890s, many artists lived in Greenwich Village in New York City. Sue and John Z were artists. The two girls first met each other in the month of May. The two girls talked happily for an hour about art, about clothes, about food. Soon after their meeting, Sue and John Z moved into a studio apartment together. Their rooms were at the top of an old brick house in Greenwich Village. In December, it was very cold in New York. Johnsy had pneumonia. She lay in her bed and she did not move. A doctor visited her every day, but she was not getting better. One morning, the doctor spoke quietly to Sue. "I can't help her. She doesn't want to live." She went into her own room and she cried quietly for a few minutes. Then, she started to sing a happy song, and she walked into Johnsy's room. Johnsy lay silently in her bed. Her face was thin and white. She was looking towards the window. Suddenly, Sue heard a quiet sound. Johnsy was counting backwards. 12, 11, 10. "There are only 5 leaves on the vine now," said Johnsy. "The last leaf will fall soon, and then I'll die." That night, there was a storm. The rain fell heavily, and the wind was very strong. Johnsy woke early the next morning. She looked towards the window. There was still 1 leaf on the vine. "That's the last leaf," said Johnsy. "It will fall today. I'll die at the same time." He stayed on the vine all day. That night, there was more wind and rain. In the morning, Johnsy woke early again. The leaf was still on the vine. Johnsy lay in her bed, and she looked at it for a long time. Then she spoke to Sue. "I've been a very foolish girl, Sue," she said. "I want to die. But the last leaf has fallen on the vine. It has taught me a lesson. Please bring me a bowl of soup now."
네, 박수 부탁드립니다. 영어 실력을 높이는 데 포함됩니다. 현재 생일 수지 학생은 쉐도잉 실전 훈련을 받고 있는데요. 그게 무엇인지 보여드린다고 합니다.
Hi, where are you flying? I'm flying to New York. Can you put your luggage here, please?
Sure.
Oh, it seems your luggage is over the limit.
What do you mean?
Your luggage exceeds the weight limit. Your luggage must not go over 110 pounds. It's 5 pounds over the limit.
What should I do?
You have to pay extra. How much? $100.
What? That's too much. Only 5 pounds.
Can you please let it go?
So are you ready to go?
Let's get started.
Ready? Okay, here we go.
We're
So,
going to start with our
key expressions. Now you'll see on the side all the key expressions. And I will tell you one by one. Okay. First one is, where are you flying? Where are you flying? Where are you going? Okay. Second one is very important. Over the limit. Over the maximum. Okay. Third expression. When you don't understand.
What do you mean?
Okay. Next, you have to pay extra. You have to pay extra money. Okay. And last expression. Can't you please let it go? You're probably saying, I don't understand. Let it go. I'll teach you. It's going to be just like that. Okay. Now, we are going to go through the whole dialogue. So follow with us. Are you ready? Are you ready, Ron?
All right, let's get started.
Okay.
First line, we're in the airport and the ticket agent says, "Hi, where are you flying?" Hi, where are you flying? Now, I'm not flying. I'm taking an airplane, right? Sure. Ticket agents will ask you one of two questions. What is your destination? Or where are you going? Or where are you flying? So flying means to what city are you going? Let's, one more time. Where are you flying? Where are you flying? And Jane says,
Jane says, I'm flying to New York. Does that mean I'm flying to New York?
hopefully you're taking an airplane.
Yes, you're taking the airplane. You are not flying, but you are in the airplane going to New York. Okay.
Okay, and the ticket agent then says, can you put your luggage here, please? Your luggage here. And Jane says,
Jane says, okay, sure. This is a great expression. Very, very easy. But oftentimes native speakers, instead of saying yes, they use words like this, like sure, okay, all right. Okay? So if you want to speak like a native speaker, yes, and forget it. Sure. Okay.
all right, and then the ticket agent seems to have a problem.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he says, oh, it seems your luggage is over the limit. Your luggage is over the limit. Now, when you take an airplane, there is a weight limit on your luggage or baggage, right? So when they weigh the luggage, if it's too heavy, not going to work. So the ticket agent says, oh, it seems your luggage is over the limit.
Oh no, it's a problem.
It is.
네, 시간 관계상 이까지만 하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 승재 연기 실력과 승유의 차분한 폭력 인상 깊게 봤습니다. 지금은 이제 실시간 댓글을 한번 확인하려고 하는데요. 네, 댓글 한번 소개해드리겠습니다. 잘하네요. 이쪽이 강사님 선생님. 말투도 정말 다들 진짜 너무 좋다고. 네, 이런 댓글들이 있습니다. 그 다음으로는 1학년 2학기 과정을 수료하고 있는 두 학생을 소개합니다. 이주참, 유시은 학생 큰 박수 보내주세요.
여러분의 댓글에
제가 저의 파트너를 소개하는데요. 여기 있는 이 친구의 이름은 류시은이고 중학교 3학년입니다. 저는 고등학교 1학년이고요. 저희는 1학년 2학기 과정을 수료하면서 문자 통역, 소리 통역, 스토리텔링 통역, 그리고 비디오 통역을
We are studying the second semester of the first grade. We are studying text interpretation and sound interpretation and video interpretation and storytelling interpretation.
저희들은 욕심쟁이라 전부 도망가지 않으실 거죠? 먼저 제가 문자 통역하는 장면을 보여드릴게요. What is the democracy? You might answer the democracy is political system, the owner is the people. That's the right answer. Then what is the opposite of democracy? You might answer it is communism. Why we think the opposite of democracy is communism? Because the South Korea is democracy country and North Korea is communism country. So we tend to think like this. But in fact, the North Korea is also democracy country. I will ask you again. What is the opposite of democracy? It is the dictatorship. In conclusion, democracy is a political system determined by majority, and dictatorship is determined by minority. Now, let's see the cons and cons of democracy. Advantage of democracy is the people can determine by their interests. But disadvantage of democracy is if there's no democracy spirit, it can make dictatorship. We can elect dictator by election, and majority people ignore minority people's opinion. In first example, here the society of here of Gulliver. The people living here believe others' story very easily. They are happy when others are happy. They ignore when others ignore. If someone's swearing, they swear together, even they don't know why. But they didn't want to judge themselves. But in this society, the one small delegates appear. They agree on their judgment, and they believe majority people. So they elect them to representative. The representative use their power based on their interest. The people in the society support them. Here, the first disadvantage of democracy is appear. The dictator by election. In second example, here's the very high education society. The people living in society work very hard and study very hard. They work very hard to get paid, get many money. They use their whole life to get self-development. The people living in this society need representative to protect their money. They didn't mind of the minority people in this society. They really deny the representative to give us this interest. In this society, being rich and growing economy and low tax, this is the representative. This is the second problem of democracy. 잘했나요? 이제 시은이의 소리 통역을 보여드릴 건데요.
네, 지금부터 제가 민주주의에 대해서 설명을 한번
I
해볼게요.
explain about the democracy.
민주주의 국가에서 지금 살고 있습니다.
I live in the democracy country.
여러분 민주주의 시민이신가요?
You're like a 시민 of the democracy.
네. 맞아요?
네.
자, 대한민국은 민주주의 국가입니다.
Korea is a democratic country.
그러면 북한은 민주주의 국가일까요? 아닐까요?
So the Australia is a democratic country or not?
대부분 한국 사람들은 북한은 민주주의 국가가 아니라고 생각을 합니다.
Most Korean people think North Korea is not a democratic country.
정확하게 북한도 민주주의 국가입니다.
Correct. North Korea is a democratic country too.
남한도 민주주의 국가, 북한도 민주주의 국가. 그러면 어떤 차이가 있을까요?
The North Korea is also a democratic country and we are is a democratic country. So what is difference between them?
예, 이것만 차이가 있습니다.
There is some difference.
남한은 자유국가이고 북한은 독재국가라는 것만 차이가 있습니다.
It is difference is South Korea is the free country, and North Korea is dictatorship country.
자, 민주주의가 있고 공산주의가 있고 사회주의가 있죠. 그러면 이 중에서 어떤 제도가 가장 좋은 제도일까요?
There is a democracy and communism and society. What is the most?
맞아요. 내가 민주주의가 가장 좋은 시스템이라고 말하지 않으면 여러분들은 나를 간첩이라고 생각할 거예요. 그렇죠?
I didn't say the democracy is the most voter system and building is North Korea people.
자, 민주주의보다 더 좋은 제도는 공산주의고 공산주의보다 더 좋은 제도는 사회주의이고 복지국가라고도 말을 하죠.
The good rule better than the communism is democracy, and more than the good democracy is 사회주의, and it is
왜냐하면
because
민주주의 국가는 너무나 어떤 사람은 너무 부자, 어떤 사람은 너무 가난한 이런 차이가 많은 게 문제입니다.
it's a matter of the democracy. Some people is very rich, some people is very poor.
그러나 사회주의 국가로 가고 공산주의 국가로 가고 또 복지국가가 된다고 하는 것은 어떤 차이 있는 모두가 좀 공평하게 살자라고 생각해서 나온 어떤 theory, 이론이죠.
The difference of these three societies comes out from the theory. There's good to live.
우리는 대한민국의 시민으로서 가장 깊이 생각해야 될 것은 바로 이거예요.
And it is the most we think very much. We are the democratic country people.
대통령이 독재를 쓰느냐 아니면 독재를 사용하지 않느냐 이게 가장 중요한 겁니다.
It is very important if the president use the dictatorship or not.
우리는 엄마로서 여러분들도 혹시나 우리의 자유를 빼앗아가려고 하면 그때는 작은 촛불을 드시기 바랍니다.
If you want to get our freedom, you raise your hand.
이게 가장 중요한 우리 자녀들에게 주는 선물이라고 저는 생각합니다.
I think it is the most good present to give our parents.
감사합니다.
Thank you very much.
Two frogs are minding their own business in the swamp when, wham, they're kidnapped. They come to in a kitchen, captives of a menacing chef. He boils up a pot of water and lobs one of the frogs in, but it's having none of this. The second its toes hit the scalding water, it jumps right out the window. The chef refills the pot, but this time he doesn't turn on the heat. He plops the second frog in, and this frog's okay with that. The chef turns the heat on very low, and the temperature of the water slowly rises. So slowly that the frog doesn't notice. In fact, it basks in the balmy water. Only when the surface begins to bubble does the frog realize it's toast. What's funny about this parable is that it's not scientifically true for frogs. In reality, a frog will detect slowly heating water and leap to safety. Humans, on the other hand, are a different story. We're perfectly happy to sit in the pot and slowly turn up the heat, all the while insisting it isn't our hand on the dial, arguing.
그 온도계를 믿을 수 없다. 이렇게 나뉩니다.
It does. Since 1850, global average temperature have risen by the 1 degree Celsius. That may not sound like a lot, but it is. Why? 1 degree is the average. Many places got only but much warmer than that. Some places are the Arctic have only 4 degrees. If global average temperature increases to 1 more degree, the coldest Arctic is the 10 degrees warmer. The warmer state of Mumbai get the 5 degrees Celsius.
So how did we get here? Almost everything that makes the modern life possible relies on fossil fuels, coal, oil, and gas, full of carbon from ancient organic matter. When we burn fossil fuels, we release carbon dioxide that builds up in our atmosphere, where it remains for hundreds or even thousands of years, letting heat in but not out.
The heat consumption from the sun is possible through the atmosphere as soon as your gas absorbs and warms everything up. Warm objects and emitted infrared radiation and altitude are possible back out to space. But the most atmosphere gases and the gun also it. Both greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide and methane, to absorb and infrared wavelengths. We add more gases to the gas atmosphere, that heat makes them back out to space. And our planet warms up.
If we keep emitting greenhouse gases in our current pace, scientists predict temperature will rise 4 degrees from the pre-industrial levels by 2100. They identified 1.5 degree warmer, global average half a degree warmer than 2 days. As a threshold beyond this, negative climate change will become increasingly severe. To keep from crossing that threshold, we need to get our greenhouse gas emission down to zero as fast as possible.
Or rather, we have to get the emissions down to net zero. Meaning we may still be putting the some greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. We take also as much as we put in.
This doesn't mean we just keep emitting and sequester or carbon. We could keep our emissions through natural method and technological solution and require a huge amounts of permanent storage. Instead, while we switch from coal, oil, and natural gas to clean energy fuels which will take time, we can mitigate the emission by removing carbon from the atmosphere.
우리는 맵에서 뛰쳐나올 수는 없습니다. 그러나 우리는 개구리가 할 수 없는 것을 할 수 있습니다. 손을 뻗어서 불의 온도를 줄이는 것입니다.
물어보셨는데 예, 중학교
네. 2주찬 류시윤 학생에게 한 번만 마지막 순서로 2학년 1학기 공개수업을 받고 있는 류도윤 학생이 나와서 여러분에게 영어로 강의를 하도록 하겠습니다. 류도윤 학생이 직접 강의하는 준비했고 수업분들도 직접 만들었다고 합니다. 류도윤 학생을 무대로 소개합니다. 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Light is essential to our lives. The smartphone screen that we have and traffic light that we can see in the street and the chandelier in the restaurant is all made of light. There are visible light and invisible light. What if we could see only one color? Imagine, for instance, we could see only red color and we can see another. This makes us what we see. We can see only few parts of full spectrum of lights. There are many kinds of light, but we can't see. We can't see radio wave to listen music, X-ray after using, and microwave to heat food. To understand this, you know something. Light is electromagnetic radiation, and light acts both like particles and wave. The size of wave is called wavelength, and how often it comes by is called frequency. Imagine boats in the ocean, the shaking boats up and down. If the wave is long wavelength, the boat slowly shaking up and down, or low frequency. If the ocean is small, short wavelength, the boats quickly up and down. Each kind of light have each wavelength and frequency. If we know the frequency and wavelength, we know the energy of light. Imagine you're in a boat. If someday, if there are small and many kinds of wave, our energy will go up. We become busy to leave. Or low wave, we get a low energy and we take a rest. For example, look our eyes now. When we see, retina stimulates our receptor because of energy of light. And this is called a visible light. In our retina, there is a special detector and receptor is called rows and cones. Rows measure brightness, so we know how much the light is. And cones is very sensitive to some light, so some cones is sensitive to long wavelengths and high energy, and some cones is sensitive to short wavelengths and low energy. When the light is researched in our eyes, each cone recognizes the light. energy that we can see red, and the opposite, there is a high energy we can see blue. If the light bright, our retina couldn't recognize the energy. We also couldn't recognize the light. Too short wavelength or high energy, the light disappears before coming to our retina. Or too long wavelength is not enough energy to stimulate our retina. Although we can see another light, we have a special detector. It's called digital light. We know the crackling fire is similar with sunlight and ultraviolet light, and same with TV, radio wave, and microwave. But more interesting is that the space gives us full spectrum of light. In the night sky, there are many kinds of stars, but it is only a visible light. It is only a few parts of full spectrum of light. So if you drawing the space to use only visible light, it is same you drawing the space only use one trail. How sad it is? To look a full spectrum of light, we can use a Hubble Space Telescope. Have you heard about Hubble Space Telescope? You probably heard about Hubble Space Telescope and see the picture taken in visible and ultraviolet light. But you know the 20 telescope that can see a full spectrum of light. So if you learn physics, you can know lots of star and galaxies light. Light is very interesting. There is some interesting things fact. Light is fattest that all that exists. Light is 300,000 kilometers fast. It can spin the Earth 7.5 times in a second. So when we turn on the lights, our room immediately lights up. What kinds of materials the lights have? Before I said, light is electromagnetic radiation. It is energy. But in fact, it acts like both particles and waves. How does it happen? How is it possible? Look, the yellow pencil on the desk. Through your eyes and brain, you collect all information of pencil. Size, color, shape, and many other information. But how does it happen? The ancient Greek dots, what is the light and how we can see. Some Greek philosophers like Plato and Pythagoras said the light is appearing in our eyes. And it took 1,000 of years that Al-Hasan figured out the light, the Greek theory of light couldn't be right. Al-Hasan explained the light is our eyes accept the light. Al-Hasan's theories can explain the another thing. Why sometimes we get darkness. Some objects actually emit their own light, and we call this luminous light. Most of objects, such as pencil on the desk, just reflecting the light, not emit their own light. When we do pencil, light has traveled millions of miles, kilometers, across empty space to reflecting light, reflecting pencil, and comes our eyes. It's very cool that we think. So, what is the light? Is a particle? Is a wave? To reply this question, many scientists, many modern scientists thought about this. Isaac Newton is the first. Newton thought the light is made of a tiny atom particle. To use this theory, it can explain many sources of light. For example, refraction. But but a genius scientist sometimes get things wrong. In the 19th century, long after Newton died, many scientists had experimented that the light is not made of particles. For one thing, two beams of light that of don't interact with each other. If the light made by solid bulb, two beams of light will get trashed, but it doesn't happen. They just coming through each other. And the other thing, the light is an interference pattern. The wave can only make an interference pattern. So the light is wave. That's right, not so fast. In the 20th century, scientists had experiment that the light acts like a particle. For example, shining light on the metal, then the lights give energy to the metal. They put energy to a quantum, but you should thought about interference pattern, and quanta is not a small ball. So, in this experiment, the light acts both like particles and wave. These results give a new kinds of physics. It's called quantum mechanics. So let's go back to the first question. What is light? Light is different with other objects. Sometimes it behaves like a particle, and other times it behaves like a wave. But it isn't actually exactly with either. Now, we call the theory of two-phase. The lights have two kinds of properties of particles and waves. Light is so interesting, but it is essential to us. If there is no light, it's gonna be terrible. Why don't we be the light? We all become a light and shining all over the world. You are already shining lights up that since listening my lecture. Let's be the light and shining all over the world. Thank you for listening my presentation and lecture.
도윤 학생은 고3이라 매우 바쁘다고 합니다. 입시 준비로 머리가 많이 아플 텐데 ITC 영어로 머리를 식히고 바쁜 중에 강의를 해줄 도윤 학생에게 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 댓글로 응원해 주시고 격려해 주셔서 감사드립니다. 지금은 이제 학생들과 어머니의 소감을 들어볼 텐데요. 오늘 무대의 친구들은 올라와 주시기 바랍니다.
네, 먼저 우리 1학년 2학기 우리 승재 학생, 네, 우리 승재 학생 어머니 한번 무대로 초청해도 괜찮을까요?
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 중학교 2학년 이승묘, 이승재 학부모입니다. 오늘
타임이요? 사회자 마이크 켜주세요. 네, 됐습니다. 잘 이렇게 크게 살아요. 좀더잘 들려. 전체. 오케이.
저희 아이들은 그 초등학교 5학년 때 ITC를 시작했는데요. 그 시작하고 얼마 안 돼서 저희가 다른 동네
다른 동네에 그 중학생들이랑 공개수업을 했었어요. 그런데 그때 저희 아이들이 이제 시작한 지 얼마 안 됐기 때문에 그 학생들의 수준이 너무너무 대단해서 제가 공개수업 하는 내내 굉장히 부러워했어요. 그런데 지금 이제
이 여정을 함께 하면서 그 다른 학부모님들 저를 부러워하지 않을까 감히 이렇게 좀 생각해보고 아이들이 이제 한 학기 지나고 내년 1년 남았고 1년 6개월 남았는데 아이들은 어떨지 모르겠지만 저는 이 여정이 끝나지 않았으면 아이들이 성장하는 모습을 이렇게 보고 그리고 너무 감사함을 느낄 수 있는 이 시간이 너무 소중하고 좋은 것 같습니다. 선생님 너무 감사드려요.
큰 힘이 될 것 같습니다. 다음으로는 여기 1학년 2학기에도 굉장히 핫했죠. 사회자. 네, 익숙한 사회자분들 주찬이 어머니 무대를 모셔서 한 말씀 부탁드리도록 하겠습니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 지금 1학년 2학기 수료하고 1년 남았는데요. 주찬 엄마. 네, 우리 주찬이 팀은 지금 9회였어요. 네, 3학년 때부터 시작해가지고 지금 7년 된 것 같은데 꾸준히 하면서 발전해온 것 같아요. 네, 그래서 ITC랑 계속 발전해서 저는 영어에 대한 두려움을 없애주고 싶어서 이제 처음부터 시작했고요. 그래서 너무 단어 외우고 영어 외우고 이런 것보다는 그냥 편하게 얘기할 수 있는 그런 영어를 가르쳐주고 싶어가지고 ITC를 꾸준히 하게 했습니다. 그래서 이제 1년만 이제 통역대학 공부하고 이제 지금도 외국인 만나도 그냥 자유롭게 얘기를 하고 먼저 질문하고 이런 거 보면은 잘 되겠다는 이런 생각이 듭니다. 네.
그래서 남은 1년 열심히 해서 잘 마무리했으면 좋겠습니다. 네, 잘했습니다. 괜찮아요? 네? 네. 다음으로 우리 우리 변매진 유도일 학생 어머니께 소감을 부탁드리도록 하겠습니다. 박수 부탁드립니다.
마이크 있나요? 하나 어디 있어요? 저거 하나 주세요.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 1학년 2학기 우리 류시윤, 그다음에 2학년 1학기 마지막에는 류도윤 엄마입니다. 아까 우리 맨 앞에 했던 어머니께서 얘기해 주신 게 딱 저의 마음이었다 생각이 드는데 이 여정을 놓지 않고 싶다라고 하셔서 그래서 저는 우리 아이들을 고3까지 여정을 놓지 않고 고3까지 달려오고 있습니다. 11월에 수능 봐야 되는데 그래서 이제 더더욱 우리 중3인 딸내미는 이제 전혀 마음의 조급함이 없는데 이제 고3 우리 아들이 그러나 저는 고3까지 이 여정을 놓지 않고 어떤 게 너무나 뭐라고 할까요? 이렇게 비록 학교 시험 점수를 들고 오면 아쉬운 부분도 있으나
그 친구들 중에 듣는 게 너무 재밌어서 혼자서 웃으면서 그래서 어쨌든 들어주셔서 감사합니다.
제가 사실은 긴장했어요. 오늘 아침에 오면서. 근데 생각보다 잘한 것 같아서 기분이 좋아요. 그리고 아까 발표 도와주신 저 대표님 정말 감사합니다. 갑자기 불러서 당황스러우실 텐데 그때도 잘 참여해 주셔서 감사합니다.
일단 김민지 선생님과 다음에 백주희 선생님 저희 항상 가르쳐 주셔서 정말 감사하고요. 그다음에 그래가지고 오늘 즐거웠던 발표였던 것 같습니다. 감사합니다.
하기 전에는 뭔가 영어로 말할 기회가 없었는데 ITC 시작하면부터 뭔가 영어로 말할 기회가 되게 많아진 것 같아서 그리고 저 스스로 되게 성장을 많이 하고 있다고 생각하는 것 같아서 저 스스로 정말 신기했던 것 같아요. 잘 가르쳐주시는 김민지 선생님하고 선생님께 너무 감사드립니다.
이번 발표가 끝나서 이제 좀 발표 준비 안 해서 그리고 이제 이거는 재밌었어요. 감사합니다.
소감 이렇게 들어보면 굉장히 기분이 좋잖아요. 우리 특별히 아버님의 소감도 한번 들어보고 싶습니다. 특별히 우리 승재 아버님 현장에 와주셨는데요. 그때도 한번 부탁드리겠습니다. 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
선생님, 핀 마이크는 빼주세요. 블루투스.
안녕하세요. 저는 이승재라고 이정설입니다. 제가 사실 회사에서 해외에서 일할 일이 되게 많거든요. 항상 해외에 나가면 외국인들이 인도나 이런 데는 영어를 전혀 알아들을 수가 없더라고요. 제가 회사 생활하면서 해외에서 이렇게 영어를 잘하게 되면 경험하는 것들이 많을 거거든요. 애들이 지금 중학생인데 저보다 훨씬 영어를 잘하고 항상 그렇다고 계시는 원장님과 선생님들이 이렇게 저희가 ITC 유학을 알게 된 것 자체가 너무 좋습니다. 감사합니다.
카메라 저러 왔는데 갑자기 나와서 이렇게 말을 하게 되면 좀 그러거든요. 일단은 우리 애들 너무 잘했죠. 사랑합니다. 사랑합니다. 사랑하지 않는다. 네, 정리할 수 없습니다.
네, 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 저희 토요일 10시마다 ITC에서는 여러 공개수업을 진행하고 있습니다. 다른 단계가 궁금하시면 다음 주 토요일 10시 들어와 주시기 바랍니다. 그리고 나도 영어를 배워서 우리 영어로 받아준다 하신 전화번호로 연락 주시기 바랍니다. 감사합니다.
Recording stopped.